What's up, you guys? This is Devin with CFXTV back with another video, and today we're going to be talking about this old, almost a 10-year-old, I think it's almost 10 to 11-year-olds now, but we're going to be talking about this old social media debate about whether or not this dress is blue and black or yellow and white. But we're going to be talking about it from a camera's perspective.
We are back at 8:12 with one of the great debates of our time. The origins in the universe? No, it's a simple question that divided the internet exactly 10 years ago. What color is this dress?
In one of my last episodes, I was talking about how cameras affect the visuals that we see coming from the camera itself, exposure-wise. But today we're going to be talking about it when it comes to white balance. And white balance is essentially how the camera corrects for color. You can custom white balance, or you can select a scene on the camera. You can put it in shady mode. You can put it in daylight mode. You can put it in all kinds of different modes to compensate for the scene. And what you're basically doing is telling the camera, hey, I am in this scene. It's going to be sunny outside. So adjust your Kelvin or your temperature, and that is your blues and your oranges, and your tint, which is your purples to greens, and it comes on a scale. Adjust that to make sure that my colors look as natural or as neutral as possible. Or you can use it to creatively shift your colors. A lot of times when you see cinematic movies, you'll see a teal and orange LUT to control the mood. It's not realism, it's more like hyper-realism to make you feel a certain way. Now, when it comes to this picture, this was just taken on a cell phone, so you're not talking about really any hyper-realism, but this picture was a picture taken by, I think, a mother to her daughter who was going to be a bride about a dress or something like that. I don't know the context, but basically this dress, a lot of people were debating whether or not it was black and blue versus white and gold. And this has a lot to do with the camera's white balance. If the camera does not know what white balance to select for a certain scene, what it'll do is overcompensate or undercompensate based on what it sees. And a lot of times when you get whites or extreme colors like whites, pure whites, and pure blacks, the camera gets confused if there's a lot of other white balances going on in the scene. So if I am with a black t-shirt on right now, if I didn't custom white balance, it might get skewed a little bit, but it happens more often with whites because it's trying to determine what is the real white. If you have a whole bunch of different whites in the scene, you really need to white balance and make sure that the camera knows what kind of scene it's looking at so it doesn't tilt the scene the wrong way. But that's what it looks like happened in this video. It doesn't look like nobody took a white balance card or anything like it. It was just a really casual shot. And in seeing a blue and black dress, if it's overexposed, it's going to try to make it as gray as possible if it's seen in the wrong light because it's using 18% gray to adjust the exposure. Since black is a part of the color of the dress, it's going to try to make that black into a more grayish color, which tends to look a little bit more on the whiter side. And then that blue can easily be shifted in the wrong white balance. Well, if you have a very yellow light in the scene, it's going to try to shift the scene a little bit bluer to compensate, and vice versa. Same thing with very extreme white colors. It's going to try to make that darker. So those whites tend to look gray because it's trying to meter for what we call 18% gray, which is middle of all hues and saturations. Or not necessarily all hues, but it's the middle of all exposure. And this is just the middle ground, so the camera doesn't see an extreme and gets you right in the middle. And what I like to say, a homogeneous area where most people won't really argue with what the camera comes out with, but it's not always right. And we don't really argue with the camera because we don't really know the technicality that goes behind the camera. But I'm telling you it right now. It's 18% gray when it comes to exposure. Exposure was off in this picture dramatically, and also the white balance was off in this picture dramatically. So it has now skewed what would have been the correct looking image. To my eyes, it looks gray and white, but the human brain is an amazing thing. Most of the time, most whites are not completely pure white, but the brain compensates for this. The brain is always in this constant state of, compensation. And since it's in this constant state of compensation, it's always going to be trying to correct things so you don't have to really worry about it, but at the same time, the brain could get tricked too. So some people are thinking about it from the compensation standpoint, and some people are thinking about it from basically what they are seeing. And people have said that it is a literal black and blue dress, but a lot of people have been arguing based on what they already know, not necessarily what they visually see. But the camera does overdo some scenes, and it will tilt whether or not you see certain colors over other colors. That's why it's very important to understand, especially if you're a pro, what kind of image you're sending to your client and what is real versus what's not. And you want to get it as accurate as possible to what they wanted, or if it's creative, get it as creative as you want it to be. I'm Devin with CFX Studios TV. This is a short video. I just wanted to talk about this old debate about the gold blue versus black blue, or gold white versus black blue dress, and give my 2 cents about what the camera is thinking. Stay tuned for the next video. Cash out links in the description below, and click on the affiliate links for any other products that you see me using in videos. Stay tuned for the next video, and I'm out.